Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any video lesson from RAU'S IAS Study Circle.
Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an analysis of the Hindu newspaper from UPSC perspective. Today we will discuss the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 16th April 2022. And the articles that we will discuss today are displayed on your screen. So let us start the discussion.
Now, as you all are aware, prelims examination is approaching and the compilations of the last year's current affairs in the form of the Prelims Compass magazines related to different subjects are being released regularly. In this line, the international relations related Prelims Compass has been released and is available on the Amazon. So you can buy from this website and the link for the same will be provided in the description box today. This article on page number 6 highlights the link between the incidences of tuberculosis in India and how the tuberculosis is related with the issue of malnutrition in India. And both these issues together, that is the disease of tuberculosis and the issue of malnutrition, are the highest causes of mortality in India. And that is why to resolve the issue of tuberculosis in India, malnutrition is one of the aspects that should be looked into. So in this context, this article becomes important for us from General Studies paper 2 point of view in the topic social issues. And in social issues, it is particularly related to health related issues. And that is why malnutrition is one of the important aspects for us from the mains examination perspective. And accordingly, in this discussion, we'll try to focus on what exactly is malnutrition or how it is defined, what is the current status of malnutrition in India. We will also look at the causes of malnutrition in India, and finally, what are the government initiatives to tackle the issue of malnutrition. And all these points that we discuss can be used for writing answers related to malnutrition that can be asked in General Studies paper 2 related to social issues. Now, if you look at the issue of malnutrition and how the malnutrition is defined, you can understand that malnutrition refers to deficiencies, excesses or imbalances in a person's intake of energy or nutrients. So malnutrition on the one hand refers also to limited or deficiencies of intake of particular nutrients, and at the same time it can also include focus on excessive use of certain nutrients. For example, people who are overly relying on only carbohydrates in their diet can have obesity, and that is also a kind of malnutrition. And on the other hand, people might be lacking in certain kinds of micronutrients, and that is known as deficiency related malnutrition. And accordingly, there are three broad groups of conditions that are used to define the malnutrition. First is undernutrition, and this undernutrition includes wasting, that is low weight for height. Second is stunting, that is low height for a particular age, that is what should be the supposed height for a particular age. The particular person has not achieved that height. Then there is underweight, that is low weight for age. So these are the three groups under undernutrition. Then there is micronutrient related malnutrition, and this includes micronutrient deficiencies, that is lack of important vitamins and minerals. Further, a third kind of malnutrition is overweight or obesity, and this is diet related non-communicable disease. It includes heart diseases, strokes, diabetes, some kinds of cancers. All these are associated with overweight or obesity. We all are aware that in the urban areas in India, the focus on food has been on junk food, and that is leading to issues associated with obesity or overweight. So that is also one kind of malnutrition. So these are the broad categories into which the malnutrition is defined. This brings us to what exactly is the status of malnutrition in India. Now, if you want to understand the status of malnutrition in India, the government of India carries out National Family Health Survey. And according to the National Family Health Survey or the NFHS 2019 to 21, 7.7% of children are severely wasted, while 19.3% are wasted and 35.5% are stunted. At the same time, 3.4% children are overweight, and this figure was only 2.1% in NFHS 4. That is, as compared to the last NFHS survey, the situation has deteriorated in India. Then if you look at anemia among the children under the age group of 5, the situation has worsened, and currently it is about 67.1% as compared to 58.6% according to NFHS 4. That is, over the last survey, things have worsened in the latest survey, that is NFHS 5. Further, 57% of women in the reproductive age are anemic in the country. So all this data can be really important for us to understand the status of malnutrition in India. And in this bar graph, you can see the comparison of the details related to malnutrition status in India on the basis of the NFHS 4 and NFHS 5. So if you look at how things have worsened in India on different parameters, if you look at anemia as one of the parameters, it was about 58.6 in the NFHS 4. However, it has increased to about 67.1% in NFHS 5. If you look at stunting, it was 38% in NFHS 4. It has reduced to 35% in NFHS 5. Then if you look at wasting, it has reduced from 21% in NFHS 4 to 19% in NFHS 5. However, if you look at overweight situation, this thing has deteriorated over the NFHS 4, which was about 2.1% in NFHS 4, and now it is about 3.4% in the NFHS 5. So this is how this data and bar graph can be used in writing or highlighting the status of malnutrition in India. Then if you look at the overweight or obesity in adult males and females, it was about 24% in NFHS 4. Now this has reduced to about 20% in overweight or obese women in India. And if you look at the situation of overweight and obesity in men, it was about 22% in NFHS 4, and it has also reduced to about 18.9% in 5. So even though we see that on some parameters the situation has improved, but still if you look at the absolute number, this is way too high for a country to focus upon. And that is why this brings us to what exactly are the causes of malnutrition in India. So if you look at the reasons for malnutrition in India, there are various factors that are leading to the issues associated with malnutrition. These include poverty, poor feeding habits, infectious diseases, lack of sanitation, lack of dietary diversity, and inefficiencies in the public distribution system. So if you look at poverty, it highlights that because of low purchasing power, poor people cannot afford to buy desired amount and desired quality of food for the family. For example, the poor people mainly focus on carbohydrate related things like rice or wheat, but they do not focus more, or they are not capable of focusing more on the diversity in diet so that they can fulfill the micronutrient requirements of the family. And this adversely affects their capacity for physical work, and that is why they earn less also. And this leads to a vicious cycle of poverty, undernutrition, diminished work capacity, low earning, and poverty. Further, the malnutrition is also associated with feeding habits. And in this context, there is lack of awareness of nutritional qualities of food. There are irrational beliefs at times about food, and inappropriate child rearing and feeding habits lead to undernutrition in the family. Further, infectious diseases like malaria, measles, or recurrent attacks of diarrhea may precipitate acute malnutrition and aggravate the existing nutritional deficit in children and also in different age groups. Further, there is issue associated with lack of sanitation, and lack of safe drinking water and sanitation is leading cause of infections. And this in itself or in turn leads to malnutrition related issues in India. Further, there is lack of dietary diversity, and this is mainly due to food inflation, changing dietary patterns. Further, monocropping also results in micronutrient deficiency. For example, in certain areas of India, wheat and rice culture are the focus as far as the cropping pattern is concerned. And these areas are known for monocropping of wheat and rice cultures. And the focus on millets, etc., which have certain important micronutrients, is reducing. And that is why these monocropping patterns are leading to overfocus on only certain types of foods or cereals. So that is leading to lack of dietary diversity in various parts of India. Further, there are inefficiencies in the public distribution system, and these are due to leakages, inclusion errors, or inadequate coverage of the migrants. Further, besides all these factors, there are factors which are socio-cultural in nature, and these are also leading causes of malnutrition in families in India. So if you look at the socio-cultural factors, inequitable distribution of food in family is one of the factors. And if you look at most of the poor households in India, women and preschool children, especially girls, receive less food than the economically active male members. And that is why you might be aware that the government of India has been focusing on the midday meal program, which aims at providing the or meeting the nutritional requirements of the children who are studying in the government schools in India. Further, in families which are large and where there is rapid succession of pregnancies, it adversely affects the nutritional status of mother, and associated with the nutritional status of mother is the nutritional status of children. And a particular problem in the big families is that women tries to focus more on managing the big family, and in this context she may neglect her own health and antenatal checkups during pregnancy, and undernutrition may lead to low birth weight, and in large families per capita availability of food is also less. Further, there is poor quality of housing, sanitation and water supply, and these contribute to ill health and infections. And then there are inadequate maternal and child care. So improving the primary health centers and other healthcare services in rural India will improve the nutrition profile of women and children. In this context, let us look at some of the initiatives that have been taken by the Government of India to improve the nutritional status of its population. So if you look at the government initiatives to tackle malnutrition, first step is of course the National Food Security Act. And this act has the objective to provide for food and nutritional security in human life cycle approach. And this is done by ensuring access to adequate quantity and quality of food at affordable prices to people to live a life with dignity. This act also has a special focus on the nutritional support to women and children. Then there is midday meal program that I've already highlighted, and it is the world's largest school feeding program, reaching out to about 12 crore children across the country. And this program aims at enhancing enrollment, retention and attendance, and simultaneously improving the nutritional levels among children. Then there is public distribution system, and it plays an important role in the provision of food security, and PDS in India is the largest distribution network of its type in the world. Then there is Antyodaya Anna Yojana, and it focuses on identification of 1 crore poorest of the poor families amongst the below poverty line families. And these are covered under targeted PDS within the states, and they focus on providing them food grains at a highly subsidized rate. Then recently the government had started Poshan Abhiyan, and it aims to reduce malnutrition through a life cycle concept, adopting a synergized and result oriented approach. And in this context it is implemented by Ministry of Women and Child Development, and the target of the mission is to bring down stunting in the children between the age group of 0 to 6 years from 38.4% to 25% by 2022. It also aims to reduce anemia among women and adolescent girls in the age group of 15 to 49 years and reduce the low birth weight, because 15 to 49 years is considered to be the reproductive age of women, and that is why the focus of this program is specifically on reducing anemia among women and adolescent girls. Now in the first part of discussion we have seen the issues associated with malnutrition. Now here we should look at the programs that have been started by the Government of India to control the tuberculosis disease. And that is why in this context, a revised National TB Control Program, which is based on the internationally recommended Directly Observed Treatment Short Course or the DOT strategy, was launched in 1997. And it was expanded across the country in a phased manner with the support from World Bank and other development partners. So what was its objective? So its objectives were to achieve and maintain a TB treatment success rate of at least 85% among the new sputum positive patients. Further, it aimed at achieving and maintaining detection of at least 70% of the new sputum positive patients. So this is basically the people who are found to be positive for the tuberculosis disease. And under the revised National TB Control Program, about 4 lakh DOT centers have been established so far. Under this program, diagnosis and treatment facilities are provided free of cost to all the TB patients. For quality diagnosis, designated microscopy centers have been established for every 1 lakh population in general areas and for every 50,000 population in the tribal, hilly and difficult areas. And more than 13,000 microscopy centers have been established in the country in this context. Further, free treatment services are available for TB at all the government hospitals, community health centers, primary health centers, and DOT centers have been established near the residence of the patients to the extent possible. And all public health facilities, sub-centers, community volunteers, ASHA, women self-help groups, etc. function as DOT providers or DOT centers. In this context, another program that was launched was National Strategic Plan for TB Elimination 2017 to 2025. Now this can be an important aspect for us from the prelims examination perspective also. In this, India adopted the National Strategic Plan for TB Elimination based on the TB elimination strategy of World Health Organization and the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Now, this National Strategic Plan is built over 4 strategic pillars, that is, detect, treat, prevent, and build. And it aims to eliminate the tuberculosis in India by 2025. So, this particular target becomes really important for us from the prelims examination perspective. In this, there are specific targets which are compared to 2015, and they include 80% reduction in TB incidence, 90% reduction in TB mortality, and 0% patients having catastrophic expenditure due to TB. So all these are the sub-targets under the National Strategic Plan for TB Elimination 2017 to 2025. So this is about the programs that have been started by the Government of India to curb the issue of tuberculosis, and at the same time we have seen the various issues associated with malnutrition in India, the causes, and also the schemes that have been started by the Government of India. Now these points are pretty self-explanatory in nature. You just need to learn them and put down in your notes so that you can answer certain questions that are asked in the mains examination related to these issues, and you can use these points effectively. With this, let's take up the next news article now. This editorial on page number 6 is related to the new guidelines that have been released by the University Grants Commission or UGC, which provides students the options of undertaking 2 degrees at the same time. In this regard, this editorial raises certain issues associated with the guidelines of the UGC and what could be some of the practical challenges in the implementation of such a policy. Further, if you look at the previous year question papers of the UPSC in the General Studies paper 2, questions have been regularly asked related to the higher education, and that is why issues associated with these guidelines of the UGC and the options of providing the students with the option of undertaking 2 degrees at the same time can be an important aspect for us from the mains examination perspective. So in this regard, in this discussion, we'll look at what are these guidelines, what are the options that have been provided to the students, and then we'll look at what are the benefits or the pros of such guidelines, and what are the likely challenges, and what the UGC can do to improve or tackle these challenges. So in this regard, UGC guidelines provide that 2 full-time academic programs can be undertaken, especially in physical mode also. In this regard, it is a part of the National Education Policy that was published by the Government of India in 2020. And the rationale behind the decision to allow the students to pursue 2 academic degrees simultaneously is to help them gain diverse skills according to the UGC. It is also aimed at translating the new education policy's vision of breaking down interdisciplinary separations. So earlier, a student could pursue only one particular degree at a time. However, the new education policy provides this flexibility to the students to undertake 2 degrees at the same time. And accordingly, in line with the NEP's vision, UGC has come out with guidelines for implementation of the option of providing the students to undertake 2 degrees at the same time. So earlier what used to happen is that the UGC regulations did not allow the students to pursue 2 full-time programs, and they could only pursue 1 full-time degree along with online or short-term diploma courses. However, the new guidelines have changed this norm that was implemented by the UGC earlier. In this regard, the new guidelines will apply to all the programs that are available across the country. In this regard, the students can either choose a combination of diploma program and an undergraduate program, or 2 master's program or 2 bachelor's programs. So full flexibility has been provided to the students for choosing 2 degrees at the same time, which can be undergraduate degrees or master programs or bachelor's programs. Further, if a student is eligible to pursue a postgraduate degree and also wants to enroll in a bachelor's degree program in a different domain, he or she will be able to pursue both these courses simultaneously. Further, these guidelines will only be applicable to lecture-based courses, including the undergraduate, postgraduate, and diploma programs. However, MPhil and PhD programs will not fall under the same scheme. So as far as undergraduate and postgraduate courses are concerned, flexibility has been provided to students to undertake 2 courses at the same time. Now, how the students can undertake these 2 courses simultaneously? So various options have also been provided by the UGC in this regard. Let us look at these options. So if you look at the options that are available to the students to pursue 2 degrees simultaneously, it allows students to enroll in two physical programs simultaneously, and this is also one of the cause of concern, or it is also likely a challenge in the implementation of these policies, because the UGC guidelines provide certain minimum attendance in the physical courses. And if a student wants to pursue two physical courses at the same time as the guidelines are provided, he or she might face the challenge of meeting the requirement of minimum attendance in both these courses. So in this regard, UGC will have to come out with new kind of guidelines and new rules related to attendance. Further, these guidelines allow the students to pursue two academic programs, one in full-time physical mode and another in open and distance learning mode. So first option is that student can enroll in two physical programs. Second option is one full-time physical mode program and other being open or distance learning mode. Thirdly, students can join a program in physical mode in a university along with another program in an online mode. And the fourth option that the students have is that they can pursue two degree courses simultaneously in an online mode. Further, open distance learning and online mode courses should be pursued only in those higher education institutions which are recognized by the statutory bodies like AICTE, UGC, etc. In this regard, there are certain benefits of these guidelines and the options that have been provided to the students. At the same time, there are certain challenges also. And what can the UGC do, or what needs to be done? Let us look at these aspects. In this regard, if you look at the pros of these guidelines, the UGC has provided that the online and the open learning courses can be undertaken from only those courses which have the accreditation of the statutory bodies, and that is why such kind of requirement eliminates the dubious players that are functional in the online education segment. Secondly, it grants the students the liberty to enhance their skills and scope of employability through an additional degree. So these are two likely benefits of these guidelines. However, there are certain challenges. In this regard, there might be students who might be bright in studies, and these students can take two seats in two of the important programs that are provided by the government of India. However, if we look at the current college density in India, it is very poor. That is why one student acquiring two seats in already poor density of colleges might affect the accessibility to the education to different sections of the society. Now, college density simply refers to colleges per lakh population, that is the population which falls in the age group where they can pursue the higher education, that is 18 to 23 age group. And according to All India Survey on Higher Education Report 2019 and 20, the national average college density stands at only 30. Further, UGC's Furqan Qamar committee, which was formulated 10 years back, had also recommended dual programs with a second degree in only open and distance learning mode. And this committee had ruled out offering simultaneous degree courses under regular mode or physical mode. And this was mainly because of the logistical, administrative and academic challenges that are likely to be faced when a student pursues two courses in physical mode. In this regard, certain suggestions have also been forwarded. That is, UGC can reconsider its guidelines for physical mode option, that is, the option of providing the option to student to pursue two courses in physical mode. However, the other options that have been provided, that is one course in physical mode and the other in open or distance learning or online mode, and the option of undertaking 2 degrees in online mode should be provided. And at the same time, while providing such flexibility, the focus of the UGC should be on strengthening and streamlining the open distance learning courses in parallel. Further, there is another challenge in the implementation of such a policy. For example, if a student pursues two humanities related degrees, there will be certain courses which will be common in both the degrees. That is why UGC should focus on reducing the duplication of courses in the second degree so that the time limit or the time in which the student wants to pursue the second degree can be reduced, and that will reduce the logistical and the administrative challenges in the implementation of such a policy. Now, these guidelines have just been released recently. That is why more debate will start on these guidelines and further articles will be published in the newspapers. And that is why it will be covered in more broader detail in the coming days. With this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, in today's newspaper, there are certain news articles which are important for us from the preliminary examination perspective. In this line, the first article is on page number 9. and it is related to a new portal that has been created by the Government of India to speed up the accident compensation claims on the road. So this portal is known as e-DAR portal. Now e-DAR refers to e-detailed accident report portal. So this is basically a web portal that is designed by the government in consultation with the insurance companies, and it will provide instant information on the road accidents with just a few clicks and will help in accelerating the accident compensation claims and will bring relief to the victims' families. Now normally the accident claims used to take a long period of time. So in order to speed up this thing, this e-DAR portal has been created. Further, this portal has been developed by the Ministry of Roads, Transport and Highways. So this can be a fact for us from the prelims examination perspective. And in this, digitized detailed accident reports will be uploaded on this portal for easy access. So this is about this particular portal. You just need to know that e-DAR portal is basically related to detailed accident report, and it aims at speeding up the accident compensation claims. Second news article that is important for us from the prelims examination perspective is the battle that is going on in one of the important cities of Ukraine in the larger context of the Russia-Ukraine war. In this line, one of the cities of Ukraine that is continuously in news is the city of Mariupol. So this can be an important location for us from the prelims examination perspective. Besides this, there are certain other locations like the location of Kiev, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson, Crimea and Odisha. And if you want to learn more about these locations, they have been covered elaborately in the International Relations Compass magazine, which has been designed for the prelims examination. So you can go through that and understand the other important locations for us from the prelims examination perspective. In this line on page number 11, there is another news article which refers to clashes between Israeli police and the people at the Aqsa Mosque. Now, the location of the Aqsa Mosque can be important for us from the prelims examination perspective. So, this Aqsa Mosque is located in Jerusalem. Further, if you are aware, UPSC has been asking questions continuously from the Israel-Palestine conflict. In this regard, previously in 2015, UPSC has asked a question related to Golan Heights. Also, countries which are bordering Mediterranean Sea have also been asked. So, this becomes an important region for us from the prelims examination perspective, and that is why Aqsa Mosque, which is in news, can be an important topic for us from the prelims examination perspective. Fourth important news article in today's newspaper is on page number 8. Now this article on page number 8 is related to Bihar government seeking the UNESCO's World Heritage Site tag for the Cyclopean wall that has been built in the ancient time across the city of Rajgir. In this line, the Cyclopean wall of Rajgir is basically bordered around the city of Rajgir, and this ancient city of Rajgir was the capital city of King Bimbisara and his son Ajatashatru, who were the contemporaries of Lord Buddha. So this can be a very important fact for us from the prelims examination perspective. Further, these were kings of the Haranyaka dynasty of Magadha Empire, and this wall was built with massive undressed stones fitted together. So you can see in these pictures that the Cyclopean wall has been created by accumulating undressed walls, and they are fitted together in a pattern. Now this Cyclopean wall, or the term Cyclopean, has been used for its similarities with the ancient Greek walls that were created across the cities for protection from the enemies. So these are certain facts related to the Cyclopean wall of Rajgir, for which the Bihar government is seeking UNESCO's World Heritage Site tag. Further, this article on page number 10 is related to the indigenization efforts that are being accelerated by the Indian Navy. Now, defense indigenization is one of the important topics for us from the mains examination perspective, which is important, and this has been covered previously in the DNS of 26 February 2022, that is very recently. So you can go through this DNS and understand the various aspects of defense indigenization. Further, on page number 6, there is an article related to the economic crisis that is going on in Sri Lanka, and the various aspects of Sri Lankan economic crisis have been covered in the DNS of 31st March 2022. So you can go through this DNS and understand the different aspects of the Sri Lankan economic crisis.
With this, we conclude today's discussion, and this is the question for the day.